What's the best gift you've ever gotten? Last January, I was working the overnight shift at this 24-hour diner in Portland. Dead time between 2 and 6 a.m., just me, truckers getting coffee, and the occasional drunk college kid ordering pancakes. I'd been there about 8 months, saving up to move out of my roommate's place. This one night in February, around 3:30, this older woman comes in. She wasn't a regular, had this fancy coat on, looked out of place. She orders just black coffee, sits at the counter for maybe 10 minutes without saying much. Real quiet type. When she gets up to leave, she hands me this small wrapped box and says, "This is for Alex, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. How did you know my name?" She just smiles and walks out. Didn't even pay for her coffee. I'm standing there holding this box, totally confused. It wasn't my birthday or anything. The wrapping paper looked old, like it had been sitting in someone's closet for years. Inside was this beat-up leather journal, the kind you'd find at a thrift store. But when I opened it, there were pages and pages of handwriting, all addressed to someone named Alex. At first I thought it was the wrong person, but then I started reading. The first entry was dated 3 years before I was born. It was from my birth mom, the mom I'd never met, the one who gave me up when I was 2 weeks old and died in a car crash 6 months later. That's all I ever knew about her. But here she was, writing to me, entry after entry, starting from when she found out she was pregnant. She wrote about being scared, about not having money, about wanting me to have a better life than she could give me. She wrote about picking my name, about holding me those 2 weeks, about how much it hurt to let me go. There were 47 entries total. The last one was written the day before the accident. She talked about how she hoped someday I'd find this journal and know that giving me up was the hardest thing she ever did, but she wanted me to be happy. The crazy part? She left specific instructions in the journal. She gave it to her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, and told her to find me when I turned 21. But Mrs. Chen moved away and lost track of me. Turns out she'd been looking for me for 2 years, going to different places where young people work, asking around. She finally found me through my adoption agency. They couldn't give her my info directly, but they told her where I worked. So she came to the diner, confirmed it was me by asking other customers what the night server's name was, and handed over the journal. I cried right there at the counter. This trucker named Bob was the only customer left, and he just sat there drinking his coffee while I bawled over this book. Didn't say anything, just let me have my moment. My birth mom wrote about her favorite songs, her fears, her dreams for my future. She drew little pictures in the margins. She even wrote down family recipes and stories about my grandparents I'd never heard. It was like getting to know her even though she'd been gone for 21 years. The last page had an address. Turns out she'd buried a small metal box in the backyard of her old house before she died. Inside were photos of her and my birth dad, a baby blanket she'd made for me, and a silver bracelet with my initials. I quit the diner 2 weeks later and drove to that address. New family living there now, but they let me dig up the box. Everything was still there, wrapped in plastic bags. The photos showed this young woman who looked exactly like me, smiling and happy. That journal changed everything. I finally understood where I came from, why I have this weird habit of humming when I'm nervous, why I love thunderstorms. Turns out my birth mom did the same things. I carried that journal everywhere for months, read it probably 50 times.